Just because you have a bad partner or a bad experience in a relationship does not mean that God is trying to punish you. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling men and women who have been victims and or perpetrators of abuse for many years now. And I wanted to talk about this phenomenon that happens. I've counseled, again, many victims of abuse over the years. And one of the phenomenon that happens, especially if you are religious or spiritual, or you grew up in a religious or spiritual household, is this phenomenon that, like, when we go through a relationship, or we're with a person that betrayed us or hurt us or turned out to be an abuser or a master manipulator or something like that, we start to feel like, okay, well, I pray to God, and just a quick caveat, I usually only find that this happens with women that sort of believe that God is punishing them somehow, or that God thinks that they're not worthy of love somehow, or God is not going to give them everything that they've been trying to manifest, everything that they've been praying for. I've only found this with women. I don't find that men have the same, and I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying that I've never personally worked with any man that has the same mentality that I'm not going to get what I want, with the exception of men who get angry with God during childhood abuse. And I could do a separate post on that if you guys want me to. But anyhow, a lot of women sort of internalize the blame, and they say, well, I prayed, I've devoted myself to God, and things still did not work out for me. And so therefore, I think God has a personal vendetta for me. He's forgotten about me. He doesn't love me. He sort of casts me out as being this unlovable person. So therefore, I'm going to give up on wanting anything for myself. And this, women will find this. I find that women will do this with, not just failed relationships, but, also, having children, or some major life transition, or major life goal that they really wanted that did not work out. So, you could sort of, insert into any major life transition. And so it's important not to say that God is punishing you, and not put God in that big of a driver's seat. Because if you remember, God helps those that helps themselves. And so, what you need to be saying is, what am I learning from this experience? What is this experience teaching me? Not sort of saying that I need to be cast away and thrown into the sea, never to be heard from again, but what is this experience teaching me about myself? What is this experience teaching about in my relationship with God? And what do I need? Who is the woman that I need to become, or who's the person I need to become in order to achieve what I've been praying for? Is there another lesson that I need to learn? What is that, right? And sometimes you cannot do that kind of deep, sort of Socratic, existential sort of questioning on your own and get the answer, right? At least not in a way that's helpful or beneficial. And sometimes you can't even do that, I'll be real with you, with pastoral or Christian counseling. So I would recommend that you see a professional, right, that can help you sort of process that and help guide you in a way that doesn't lead to you being self-destructive, lead to you having that negative talk. And a lot of women take on this I feel like it's sort of this negative narrative with God, right? And how they're worthless, or how they're not lovable anymore. They sort of take on this negative narrative with God because they either grew up with people that talk to them like that, so parents or family members, or they're surrounded by people that did not wish them well or treat them well in life, or B, I should say, is that they were with a partner that was abusive. Or 3, I will say that they have a history of being with men that haven't been that haven't been kind to them, that have been maybe a bit brutal to them. And I say men in particular, not to say that women aren't a part of this too, because I do think that women are, but most deeply religious or spiritual women believe that God is a father. And so when you believe that God is a father, he takes on that persona of a man, right? And a lot of women look to God or men to tell them how to navigate life, and they look to men for validation and to validate their self-worth. And if we're not careful, we can also put that onto God, our Father, our spiritual leader, that sort of thing. You can externalize that and have God doing the same thing to you and speaking the same way to you that abusive people have been speaking. And so you want to be careful with the messages and the narratives that you internalize, because and I always remind people of this. My God that I know comes from a very loving place, and he loves all of his children, and no one is forgotten about, right? And so, if something is happening, my teachings have always taught me that there is a lesson, and sometimes you will get that same lesson over and over until you've learned what's needed to be learned from that. So I hope that helps, and I'm curious to know what you guys think, and let me know if you want me to speak about anything else in relation to that. Thank you so much. Like, comment, follow, and share if this has been